Listen, y'all, I'm not saying I had a premonition while we were talking in that last episode. Wow. The places, this writing of this episode, holy shit.
This was awesome and honestly very surprising. But we also kind of called it.
Yeah, in a way, those back ass were just kind of like, yeah, that's weird that they're, making the boy them because they don't have a son. That's totally Madeline Pryor's kid. What do you mean Gene hasn't been here the whole time? What the actual fuck? Okay, anyway, so, we need to get into some things. Magneto's actually trying to be a good person.
Yeah. Hold on, let me just pull up the voice actor because I need to give Matthew Watterson.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic.
Yeah, he does great, and the dialogue that he's given is honestly pretty amazing.
It is. So we talked about how this is showing adult things. And I appreciate about this as being adult. And I mentioned that I've read a decent amount of X-Men comics. I tell you, when this started, and I was like, okay, wow, they're going to have Magneto, be there, which is not that too strange of a thing. He's made face turns before. I didn't think the love triangle we were going to get in this show was no longer going to be Jean, Scott, and Wolverine. It was going to be
Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto.
For those of you that don't know, that shit did actually happen in X-Men comics.
Yeah, because how many people remember that before she joined the X-Men, Rogue was a villain?
She was.
She was even a Captain Marvel villain.
She was.
Or a Miss Marvel villain.
Well, Miss Marvel, yeah. It was again, they did it in the original cartoon. I don't remember if that was referenced in the original. I don't remember them ever referencing it then. But Rogue has her powers because she held on to Miss Marvel for too long. That's why she has a super strength that she can fly.
Yep.
That's the only reason. That's why when we're expecting the X-Men to make their entrance into the MCU, that a certain douchebag we used to work with might be a very happy person. But so, and for those of you wondering, like, what would ever make Rogue see anything in Magneto, here's this crazy thing that they just brought up, that Magneto made it so he could actually normally touch Rogue. He just covered himself in a magnetic field so that her skin never properly touched his.
Yep.
So they could actually have normal human contact without any bullshit.
They could.
And it was very weird. I understood it, I guess, because he's one of the few people that could, pull this off. Still old enough to be at least her dad. I don't remember how old Rogue is technically in this continuity.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people who generally gets into the whole age gap discourse when it comes to shipping, but I get it if this ship makes people uncomfortable.
Because he does look old enough to be your grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And might be age-wise. I was just talking about how cute Gambit and Rogue were being last episode. Ah! Everything I said in the last review is coming to bite me in the ass. Anyway, before we get off it, do you remember at all if they referenced that in the old run of the cartoon?
I I couldn't tell you.
I don't think they ever did. And holy shit, are they hammering into that fast here? So, I was looking up thumbnails for this, and someone went, "Did they really just do a January 6th in the second episode?" I'm so happy that happened a day before. My birthday's January 7th, and I was a day off of having my whole birthday be just that.
Oh, yeah, that would have been not good.
No, it wouldn't have. But so we get the executioner. I don't remember. But anyway, so some plot details before we get there. Again, I also mentioned Leech with evolution. Leech was in this episode.
Yeah.
I was literally like having spasms throughout this whole episode because all the shit that I kept mentioning. Carl Denty, the execute. Wow, that's actually really close to what. Let's see here. To what he looked like in the episode. A little less 90s, but.
Oh, that's Executioner.
That's Executioner, yeah.
I mean, that is a pretty 90s design.
It is. Was a member of Charles Xavier's Underground. Duncan would cache technology equipments that the X-Men confiscated from alien races. Huh. Denty inherited his caseload and discovered that Duncan was involved. Oh, okay. Carl Denty was a field agent whose partner. Okay, so his partner used to help Xavier, and then he found all the stuff and then used it to fight the X-Men. Okay. Hey, do you also remember when I said they were trying to de-chumpify Cyclops? And then he got his ass whipped in this episode? They can't help themselves!
Don't worry, Cyclops fans. Eventually, he'll get a W.
I don't know when. I cheer for y'all. I really do. Someday you're gonna get a good version of him. I don't know when.
It's gonna happen soon, someday.
And also, I'm going to watch what I say in these because we're gonna bring up another thing. I was just mentioning how happy I was, how badass she looked, and how great it was to have this interpretation to Storm, and then she lost her fucking powers.
Yeah, that hurt.
I'm kidding you not. I started tearing up when Jean was reading that letter.
Same.
I got actively upset. I'm like, this actually hurts.
The two times that I almost teared up this episode were Magneto's speech once he like takes the whole court up into space.
Awesome, by the way.
Yeah, that moment was great. But it's that and the letter that were the two probably the biggest highlights that were non-action scenes.
So, man, like, and that can't stand. She's got to come back at some point.
I'm sure she will.
Just they're saving that for a moment later when she gets her stuff together and then comes back and again another badass entrance because you can't not have Storm be there.
No.
That's an X-Men that is kind of like, what are you actually doing if she's not there? I understand she was not a part of the original version, which everyone likes to forget. The original version was 5 white people.
Yep.
But yeah, so another thing, again, every statement me and Mike made coming to bite us in the ass in that last episode. Remember how me and him were like, yeah, at some point by the end of this season, they'll have that kid.
As it was happening, I messaged Brock. So much for this season.
This season. And then fucking Wolverine. He's coming. Ooh, Apocalypse? No, the baby. Fucking idiots. But yeah. So, and now we're getting to the point that they're having the racism be so bad that they won't even deliver a mutant baby.
Like they try to justify it, like you like you people lose control of your powers and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? Also has been stated in the previous cartoon and been made a point to when you can identify a mutant. Puberty! I don't know what you know about birth, doctor, but you don't come out having gone through puberty. That's when the mutant gene kicks in. But oh wait, I'm sorry that a racist didn't know about the people who they were suppressing. But yes, so it was a bit of a stretch, but Rogue steals.
She steals the knowledge, like the medical knowledge.
That was the most 90s cartoon shit they've done these whole 2 episodes. That was some bullshit. But you know what? Whatever. If that's how they're going to do it, fine. Also, I totally forgot that Jen Hale voiced Jean Grey. That's awesome. So we get this great scene after all done, and a magnificent scene of I legit thought we were gonna get some what I want to say re-entry flames with that court hearing. I thought he was going to drop him. I thought, nope, Magneto's gone, and then a powerless Storm was going to be the person in charge because Magneto went off the reservation. But no, he didn't. He's actually trying to be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, remember this view of the world, people trying to cook. And I love how much he has actual physical trouble with saying the words coexist. It actually hurts him to say it.
Yeah, like the first time it you can kind of feel his like you can feel the pain of him admitting that, but by the end he's like, no, guys, I'm actually trying to do better.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live by Xavier's word.
Yes. And so we get that, and he sits down and he gets a full pardon. We get the great scene and the great letter, and again, the read of that letter, holy shit. And Storm's gone. Not everyone's having it. Morph immediately thinks, nah, she's just gonna mingle with people, and then she's not gonna be able to stand him, and she's gonna come back. And the doorbell rings. And Morph, of course, thinks, see, she's back already. And it opens, and I don't know if that's Madeline Pryor or if that's Jean Grey, because she said, I need the X-Men. Remind you people, in the last episode, I was bringing up with Mike that I don't understand why they're saying that Jean and Cyclops are having a boy, because Jean and Scott never have a boy. They have a girl named Hope Summers, and Mike's like, oh, maybe it's an OC, and then I'm like, oh, maybe they're just gonna make Cable their kid. Then they have said child, and his name is Nathan. Nathan is Cable's name. So I'm like, oh, wow, they're actually making Cable their kid. Me having brought up the fact that Cable is the son of a clone of Jean Grey. Not does my comic book, again, stupid shit happens, go, maybe at some point Jean Grey just got replaced by Madeline Pryor. Because I even brought up the fact that she was in a fucking tube during the Dark Phoenix saga, and they just find her later and figure out that Madeline Pryor was there the whole time. Then fucking she shows up at the door.
In conclusion, clones.
I swear to God, if in the next episode she was actually just in a fucking tube underwater, like in the comics, and I was right, I'm gonna lose my shit. And then, how far are we gonna go back into the old cartoon that was Madeline?
It's gonna happen.
Or are they gonna be dumb and have that be Madeline Pryor?
Now
And
that's a
wonder,
good question.
and wonder why there's a clone of Jean. They could do whatever they wanted. This is just another run of comics. They could be stupid. Because I don't remember. Hold on. Pryor. Okay, she does. I couldn't remember if Madeline had mutant abilities or if she didn't, because that shit got stupid. She's got all the same abilities. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but oh boy, do I want it to be next week already.
Same. Maybe closer to next week I'll make a poll on Twitter, but for now, what do you think is more likely, that the Jean that just had Nathan is Madeline Pryor, or the Jean we see at the end of this episode is Madeline Pryor?
No! God, this episode was written really well. I want it to be that Madeline Pryor's the one that had the kid. Because you could make it so that Nathan is Jean's kid. And realistically, it doesn't change much. Because in the grand scheme of things, him being Madeline's kid, if I remember correctly, doesn't really make that significance of a difference. It just mentions that Madeline's his mom and not Jean. His psychology as a character doesn't change all that much unless I'm remembering some giant detail that it has to be something from Madeline that made him that way. He was just the most powerful mutant that has to restrain himself at all points because he gets the techno-organic virus.
Right.
So you could do something weird to where they now have to figure out why Madeline Pryor exists and why she's just here, and then go from there. But what's going to be weird, and why I kind of want it to be what it normally is, where Madeline's actually the one having the kid there, because then they're going to go back to the old cartoon and start being like, this is when it switched. And you got to wonder if this is what they actually wanted to do and they just never got to reveal that Jean was Madeline the whole time, or they kind of just went, we could just make her Madeline and then be like, the Dark Phoenix shit, she get boop, she was gone.
Question, because I don't remember, did Cable ever appear in the original series?
Yes, I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay.
Cable. I'm about 1,000%. Yeah, he did. Because
Okay.
if I remember, again, I'm rewatching it slowly. Pretty sure they did Days of Future Past. They did, because that's why Bishop's there. But yeah, they had a lot go on. Like, they fight Apocalypse, or encounter Apocalypse rather early on in the show, and Mr. Sinister. They have a metric assload going on in the start of that show.
Did they cover Onslaught too? Or maybe not.
Oh God, I don't remember if they did Onslaught, because did they do Onslaught? Because they actually can't do that now if they didn't. I don't think they did.
Okay.
No, I don't think they did, which is weird because they can't do that now. Because Xavier's dead.
Oh. Yeah.
For those that don't, oh man. Okay. Fuck. what made him again? It was. How does that go? What? Oh man, I'm gonna have to. Onslaught X, because he's okay. Oh boy. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to, because I'm going to get this wrong when I try to describe it. Okay, yeah, here we go. It's it's an entity that was a mix of Xavier and Magneto, but the way it's made is weird. I would have gotten it wrong. Onslaught was written as a sentient psionic entity created by the consciousness of two mutants, Charles Xavier and Magneto, during a battle between the X-Men and Magneto's acolytes. Professor Xavier and his telepathic powers uses telepathic powers to shut down Magneto's mind, rendering him catatonic. And it was explained that through the Onslaught crossover series, the dark aspects of Magneto's mind escaped into Xavier's subconsciousness, where it merged with Magneto's own darker nature to eventually grow into a separate persona.
Yeah, that's comics.
Did I mention comics are stupid? But yeah. This is this the best show that's come out for Marvel? Only 2 episodes in.
I would have to say so. I forgot to say this in the last episode, but honestly, this show is for Marvel and Disney Plus what seasons 3 and 4 of Young Justice were for, like, compared to the first 2 seasons on Cartoon Network. Like, without having to deal with standards and practices and, you know, network television, they can get away with a lot more.
They can. And I know that there's some mid-level executives at DC going, man, it's almost like they like serialized TV shows about superhero teams. And then you have a certain douchebag Zazzaloffason at the top going, what if we made one and then canceled it and threw the remains at children? Oh, that won't make us money? I thought it would. Why do DC have to be trapped at Warner Brothers? I'd rather that be anywhere else. But
I'd rather Zaslav be anywhere else.
I'd rather man, remember when I said I'd want the Death Note to be rid of just URLs? I want Death Notes to be rid of people's job titles as well.
Same.
He's just a useless individual. They are burning everything they can for no reason. Just no reason whatsoever. Because you can't tell me you're making more money back canceling than you are putting the shit out that people would actively watch. But anyway, this show's really good. I just hoped this would be good, and this is surpassing my expectations.
Same. And again, I was more of an X-Men Evolution fan than the original series, so that I'm so jazzed about this revival speaks volumes.
It does.
And I'm pretty sure there are people on the writing staff who also are big Evolution fans. Because this feels like a show that's for everyone.
It does. If you would have told me that 2 episodes in, I would have been tearing up reading a letter that Storm wrote to Jean in a continuation of the 90s animated cartoon for X-Men, I would have called you a liar.
Yep.
I kind of really hope, and this is weird to say, that writer was being a douchebag and that's why he got let off. Because if this is the writing he could do and he wasn't doing anything wrong, That sucks.
Yep. I mean, we'll get into more of the controversy on the next zeroing out, but for now, this is just so good.
It's really good. All day long, I've had my Twitter exploding with people I barely knew and people that I trusted saying that this was the best shit ever and that they knocked it out of the park. And I'm like, all right, some people might just be happy that they're hearing the X-Men intro again, and then I would have been one of those people. But no, this is really good. This is really, really good. How many episodes are there?
I think
this is till May 11th, right?
May 15th.
May 15th. Yeah. Keep this going. And I want this to be a thing that kicks Disney in the ass to go, we could make some TV shows that have nothing to do with the MCU. You have an animation studio for a reason.
Yes.
Like I said, Spider-Man TAS is just sitting on a shelf. You thought people went nuts over this? Bring that back, and you're going to have 2 certified bangers. Put as much care as this in you can, and then eventually over time, make one of your own little original ones, and then just let it out there. Let this animation studio cook and do some good shit. This is one of the few times where I'm actively telling you to sell something off nostalgia. Because these are one of the few times where we actually want it. These are things people are asking to be brought back. Shocking how much it's nice and people respond to well when you bring back the thing they wanted. But yeah, that's all I got. I can't wait until next week. And every following, the 2 episodes in, I'm more excited for the next episode than any of the live action stuff they've done.
Same. Like, I actively want it to be next week already.
Yeah. Like, I kid you not, if this would have all been released at once, after work tomorrow, I would have just, all of it, would have been done. Couldn't have been able to help myself. We would have still done episode by episode reviews, but I wouldn't have been able to help myself.
I don't blame you.
No, but all right. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on various social media sites at Captain K42. You guys can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can follow Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and that place at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on YouTube, on Podchaser. Consider supporting our Patreon at patreon.com/Renegade Pop Culture. Listen to all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mainly on Twitch and YouTube. And my cosplay stuff is all going to be on Instagram. If anyone's interested in all of that, who's he, what's it. And the next thing you'll be seeing, we'll have the next episode of the podcast up after this. And then we'll be right back to getting this out on Wednesdays. All right, everyone. Love you. See you later. Bye.